This is a really new literacy for me as a lifelong learning, but now I'm good at finding my way to find Victoria Line, at least.
You have pictures and that's easy to understand for a lot of people, but if you want to find the restaurant or you want to know about it, to see a map you have to have some sort of spatial experience and connection between a 2D picture and the reality. And I showed them the map and they were locals, they knew the place exactly, they knew left and right, but when they saw the map they had no idea.
I grew up in two language systems, one that read from right to left and one that read from left to right. The question I have for literacies, which is how do you read the worlds that you face daily?
This was a real challenge for me at the beginning, learning to, I mean, I know how to read music, but read fast enough and sight reading and so on.
This picture is kind of representative of my idea of literacy and literacies and communication as a form of shared practice. It's like for me, it's a form of telling of stories.
Start with sort of an ethnographic approach.
I remember a woman once saying, now that I can go to the community meeting and sign my name instead of my thumb, I can speak in the public meeting. And my first thought was, you could have spoken anyway, but actually she couldn't, because she felt she couldn't because she was a thumbprint, not a name.
Everybody uses lifelong learning, but everybody may understand something different by this. Literacy is multidimensional. Just in this short exercise we could see that so many different dimensions and aspects came into our discussion. Normally, literacy refers to a set of skills and practices that involve reading, writing, and many also relate to numeracy, which are mediated by written material or written text as a means of communication. Now I would like to share with you the analytical framework that I have tried to develop by bringing literacy and lifelong learning together into lifelong literacy. And I have developed three main dimensions. Literacy as a lifelong learning process. This would be one axis. Literacy as a life-wide process. This is the horizontal axis. And literacy as part of lifelong learning systems. Speaking with the policy lens, literacy as part of sector-wide and cross-sector reform in countries towards lifelong learning systems. Competency levels that are acquired at a given moment in time can become insufficient. People in the last century were happy with primary education or with lower secondary education, and this was enough for them to do what they wanted to do in their lives. But this may become insufficient in the future. People need to learn new skills, and they need to deal with more complex text, with higher order information, even with computer-based information. So they may have to upgrade their levels of skills. And some are maybe also outdated, or even people who are working in areas or living in contexts that are not promoting written language very much, or people have not really become also sustainably literate at school and they try to avoid dealing with written text, and others are doing this for them. They might lose the levels that they have already achieved. So yeah, the good news is, of course, you can still learn at later age, but you can also lose the competency levels that you have already gained by not using them on a regular basis. And we all know this from our own experiences. It's not enough to have an excellent program. You need also people who demand it. Ideally, we would like to see literacy as part of a wider concept of human development and lifelong learning.
Katie just told us a few days ago about digital technology being used for buying guava on the roadside in Somalia. And you know, if that's possible, then surely digital technology needs to be mentioned in this learning context.
Because he has shown us how you can embed community practices into learning strategies, of making literacy directly relevant for community development.
What on earth do you think what are the boundaries of education? What counts? Is it primarily schooling? Is it primarily community development? And what can you A, learn from one another, and B, what other practices locally might you borrow from?
And she thought, students are using smartphones. A lot of the students in the Learning Centre had smartphones, and she gave them a questionnaire after their experience, and she found that they did not say that they were reading. They did not see reading on a smartphone as having to do with literacy.
What they would have written using maybe a piece of chalk on the blackboard was transformed and written on the wall without them, and that really motivated them. We have got challenges like in rural areas there's no power, the computers are not there. They gave us some solar, and after 5 years, the battery was dead.
We use mobile phones that we provide them through the project to the community health wives or community midwives, and they actually use the smartphones. There's been this referral system that's been developed through text, and then the doctor will text back with their recommendations. So the literacy level has definitely been an issue because some of the midwives, they're selected by the women's health committees, but you have to choose carefully. It needs to be a woman of a certain age who's respected. So, and sometimes that will be somebody who does not have a particularly high level of literacy, but she is the most appropriate person and somebody who would be trusted.